how's the event going for you today and the cause that you guys are supporting?
Well, it's great to be here. It's always, it's always fun to be out here and be on this beautiful course and see a lot of familiar faces, and obviously support the Shamrock Foundation and all the good causes that it supports.
Brad, how much different does this time of year feel maybe than it has in years past with all that's been generated here over the last couple of years?
Not much different. I mean, I think you're just getting ready for, like, from my standpoint, it's about getting ready for the progression of practices and when you want to add stuff, when you want to focus more on you, and really creating a month-long plan for making sure we maximize the short amount of time we get together before we play for real.
What's the primary focus for you heading into training camp?
Yeah, I think there are things that lead to winning, and there are things that we have done well in the past that we need to, figure out a way to do the same, and there are things that we haven't done as well that we need to do a little bit better. But the things that lead to winning in a basketball game are not all that complex. The tactics that you take and the ways that you go about it, the people you put in place, those are all the things that we have to figure out as we work together over the next month. And obviously, we've got a good idea as a staff of what we want to do and how we want to go about things, and then we'll see how we look, a couple weeks in, and who separates themselves.
What's the biggest way you think Al Horford will help you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a number of ways, but he's a good fit for how we play on both ends of the court. So the basketball stuff's the basketball stuff, but then I think the idea that he's just won at such a high level for his whole career, and that's what he's driven by, and when you've got a guy that is as accomplished as him, both from a winning standpoint and an individual accolade standpoint, and a relatively young team around him, I think that's a good example to set.
With him in place, how much does he enhance what you do defensively?
I think it's and we've got other guys that have been able to play very well within a defensive scheme and system, and our defense had good numbers at times last year, and overall was good, but he gives you a little bit more flexibility. Another guy that can guard the 4 and the 5. He can fly around and full rotate some. He can switch some. He can do some of the things that you have to do inevitably. There are things that you prepare for in a scheme or a system that ultimately work for a while, but then your basketball intuition has to take over, and you have to be playing with multiple efforts to make sure you're where you need to be. And he does all that stuff really well, and he understands the game. Again, you're blown away when you're around the guys that have been in this league for a long time, how smart they are.
How might it help him coming in now that you guys have this continuity? Other guys that are so familiar with what you guys are doing, they're able to.
Yeah, I hope that expedites the process for him. I mean, inevitably there's an adjustment period. Who knows how long? But we've got a number of guys back, but we have some guys that could make a really significant impact on our team that are new too. So. We'll see how long it takes. But it helps to have people that are back.
What did you learn this summer about Jaylen Brown once you got a chance to really see him a little bit more up close as opposed to when he was at Cal?
Not a ton more. I mean, I think we had a pretty good idea when we drafted him that he was a guy that had a lot of, ability, especially in transition, and then has the ability as a defender to switch and do those types of things. But, we also knew that he was 19 years old, had a thirst for getting better, and that's going to be imperative. Like, he's a young guy in a man's league, and so he's got to get a lot better. And so, again, time will tell with him, but he certainly has a high upside.
As a coach, talk a little bit about the balance that has to be struck with, recognizing the fact that you are talking about a 19-year-old kid, but still, as you said, it's a man's league.
I mean, there's no balance. You can either add value or you can't. That's the reality of the situation. And we're in a really good spot where he's going to be challenged every day in practice to grow and get better. And with the guys that have been around, there's nothing better for him than playing against Jay Crowder or playing against Avery Bradley or playing against Marcus or one of our fours, whatever the case may be. Those will be good things for him.
And for him, his situation is so unique compared to guys drafted that high, where there's a clear vacuum of playing time where it's not that way for him. Do you have to just stress that patience, not only for you guys, but for him?
I think he's a really smart guy, and so I think that he knows that he's going to give every effort. He wants to expedite his learning curve, and at the same time, some of that stuff just has to happen, and we'll see. When we get into training camp, it's there's a lot that comes at you in a small amount of time, and so different guys pick it up at different paces, and we'll try our best to make it so that it is simple as possible, and at the same time, inevitably, when you haven't been through it before, it's tough.
Coach, heading into this season, do you feel that you maybe have a better idea of what the rotations might look like? I know a lot of talk last year about the depth.
No, I mean, I think we still have really good depth, and so and I think that's one of the strengths of our team. I think it's been the strength of our team the last couple of years. And the one thing that I think you have an idea about how you might start the season, you have an idea about how you might play from the get-go, but at the same time, I think that you have to be fair and let the process play itself out as well, with giving guys the opportunity to earn those spots. I mean, these guys are all professional basketball players. They all bring great things to the table, and ultimately, you've got to make sure that that's a part of the earning the playing time, or establishing a role per se. It's part of that process.
Brad, going back to Al Horford, is it unique to you in any way that a guy from outside your core is going to come in and essentially be a primary leader? And are you anticipating that being the case, given where he's come from?
I mean, I think that's why we went after him. And I don't think it's, and we're not asking anybody that comes in to be outside of their personality. Be yourself to the best of your ability, and I think his authenticity is one of the things that attracts people to him. I mean, he carries himself in a way that screams, "I'm here. I'm about the team, and it's about winning." And so, just be him. And then we ask that about all of our guys, and hopefully we all, that has a catalytic effect on our team.
Scott, go ahead.
Your involvement with Bill Belichick's
Yeah.
event tomorrow night. What do you think that'll be like, and what's your relationship with Coach Belichick?
Yeah, so Bill asked me to do that a couple of weeks ago when they were starting their season, and obviously if you get an email from Bill in the middle of football season or in the middle of football preparation, it's a pretty unique email. But I think it's obviously a great. We're excited about not only supporting the cause, but also spending time with Coach and a couple of his former players as well. And I've gotten a chance to spend some time with him in the past 6 months. Very little time, but maybe a day here or there. And as I said yesterday on the air, you feel pretty inadequate as a coach after you spend time with him. He knows what he's doing.
What's that process like, just sharing ideas?
Yeah, I mean, that's fun. I've always enjoyed football. I think football's a really interesting coaching. It's really interesting for me to see how people coach the team, because when you start talking about having that many guys around, and you start seeing how it's organized, you start seeing how the head coach can't be in every meeting, the head coach can't be in every drill, he can't be in every huddle, and you have to have a great deal of trust and delegation in your staff, and everybody moves at such an incredible tempo. It's just a really well organized machine, and you can see that anytime that you're around the better football teams. And I got a chance to, I went over and watched Ohio State practice a couple weeks ago and watched Urban Meyer kind of take his team through that. And I've always been a guy that just enjoys football and the way it's organized. I don't know anything about it. Like, the X's and O's could not be, more of a foreign language to me. But I really enjoy the tempo and the work and how people all get their stuff done so quickly and all in one direction.
Did you spend any time with the Colts when you were in Indy?
When I was in Indy, I went to at least one OTA when Manning was in the middle of his time, and very similar day. Spend time with the offensive people and the quarterbacks, and then watch the group work out and do the OTA thing. So, but it was good. It was a great experience, and again, got a special thing going here.